may seem a bit bold, but I am.
Welcome home, co-journers. I'm glad you're here for another episode. I'm Dr.Thema, licensed psychologist, ordained minister, and sacred artist, here to facilitate your journey back home to yourself. And today we will talk on the topic, building self-worth. Building self-worth. I want to start with a reading, a poem I wrote many years ago, and it is entitled Mirror. I'm on a journey for my face, looking for a mirror that reflects my name in stereo-sounding whispers. I lay these shattered pieces at the altar and use memory for thread and vision as needle, binding myself together, whole wheat. I seek out the tide that will bring back what was lost, restore my crown and my voice, make me believe again that there is wind beneath my wings. I travel inward, up mountains of regret, through valleys of yesterday. I reach the pinnacle when I recognize my own eyes, reflected back at me. Peering from my grandmother's gaze, looking through my mother's glass, I focus on the me that is both blurry and clear, and discover the possibility of turning the page. This day is fresh, rooted in ancient learned lessons, but standing in new skin. Oh, my goodness. I haven't read that one for many, many years. It's from a poetry book I wrote entitled Mangoes and Manna, Poetry for the Body and Soul. So we go through our growth periods and learn to see ourselves, to see the truth of ourselves, the healing and the reclamation of ourselves, not just the broken pieces, not just the hurts, the pains, the disappointments, but the essence of who we are. And so I want to talk with you today on building your self-worth. And it is so important that we come to recognize our own worthiness, our own value, that we not negate ourselves, diminish ourselves, demote ourselves, stand on our own wings, but instead to come to recognize the truth of who we are and to operate from the vantage point of that truth. And so this is the essence of homecoming, being at home with yourself. And everything shifts when we see ourselves with new eyes, when we can release the falsehoods and the shame and actually see ourselves in the fullness of who we are. Then our goals change, our habits change, our relationships change, our confidence changes. Things shift when I see the goodness within myself, the worthiness within myself. So how do we build our sense of self-worth? The first way is with self-compassion, that I release the judgment and condemnation of myself, and I give myself grace for my humanity instead of being so upset with myself or devaluing myself based on my mistakes or my errors or my timeline. I can better understand myself when I look at myself in context, that there are some things I didn't know a year ago, a few years ago, that I know now. There are some things I did not understand And so based on my lack of a full awareness, I made some decisions that were a part of my process. They were a part of my journey. And so I can look at myself with love and acceptance, even for the detours, even for the times that I fell short, even for the major and minor mistakes that I have made in the process of growing, in the process of learning. I wonder on today if you can show yourself grace and give yourself a real sense of compassion and love, and recognize, rooted in that self-compassion will be your ability to see that you are deserving of good things, that you can take yourself off of punishment, that you can stop holding yourself back, that you can begin to create and go after a life that will be fulfilling to you and that will reflect the essence of your worthiness. In addition to self-compassion and connected to self-compassion will be self-forgiveness. In order to see yourself as a worthy being, what are the things that you need to forgive yourself for? What are the things that we need to stop punishing ourselves for? As long as I am stuck in shame and guilt, as long as I refuse to turn the page, then I will self-sabotage and I will choose things for me that reflect in unworthiness. I will choose partners for myself, jobs for myself, unhealthy habits for myself, because I am treating myself in alignment with my worst moments. I am mad at myself or punishing myself for the worst things that I have ever done, instead of allowing myself to learn from it. And as I love to say, pulling the wisdom out of the wounds. So I pull the wisdom out and I don't have to remain stuck there. I can give myself a new opportunity for joy, a new opportunity for peace, a new opportunity to bloom and to flourish. So I invite you to be intentional with your choices, to say, what am I choosing that is continuing to punish me? What are the ways I am speaking about myself that are punitive? What do I need to release about my yesterday? I can learn from it, but I do not have to live this small life because of mistakes that I made in my past. And so I invite you, if it aligns with you, to simply say, I am forgiving myself. I am worthy of a new beginning. I am forgiving myself. I am worthy of a new beginning. Not only do we want to think about self-compassion and forgiveness, we also want to push back against negative self-talk, right? To reject the negative assumptions about ourselves. So it is true, there may have been people in your life who put you down. And it is also true that there are times we have put ourselves down. We have thought negatively about ourselves. We have talked negatively about ourselves. And so I want to shift the story that I have created about me. I want to break out of the perpetual rejecting of compliments and affirmations and the constant embracing of negativity, self-doubt, of insecurity. And so to switch my story from focusing on putting myself down to beginning to lift myself up. In addition, to build my sense of self-worth, I want to be intentional about my friendships and about my romantic relationships. because sometimes we don't feel worthy because we spend the majority of our time with people who treat us like we're not worthy. So it will be hard to heal your sense of yourself if you surround yourself with people who don't think well of you, who don't speak well of you, who don't treat you well. And the opposite is true when I choose friendships and relationships that are loving, that are positive, that are affirming. It helps me to build up my sense that I am worthy of those good things, that I am worthy of being treated with respect. I am worthy of care, both my own care and the care coming from others. And so I can really come into the fullness of who I am. I can begin to lean into my potential and my gifts because I'm in a supportive environment. So I invite you to check your circle and think about, of course, are you an encouraging and affirming friend or partner? And then also, have you chosen friends or a partner who is affirming of you, who helps to build you up? That in the presence of good friends, you feel better about yourself, not worse about yourself. In the presence of someone who truly loves you, you can see yourself being affirmed through their eyes in addition to through your own. It is also important that if we're going to build self-worth, that it is not based on performance, but it is recognizing your worthiness even when you are still. That my self-worth is not something I have to chase, not something I have to convince others of. It's not something that is up and down based on what I accomplished today, but as a living soul, as a human being, a living being, I am worthy of love, of care, of respect, and I will join you in the hope that you will release the sense that you are insufficient and instead really embrace the reality that you're enough, that you are more than enough. And with that recognition, that you will treat yourself that way. So if you can just think to yourself, no more chasing, no more convincing, no more frantic searching for the worth, that the root of my worthiness is not somewhere out there. It's not in the next accomplishment. It's not in the next pay raise, but instead the root of it is the truth of who I am. The truth of who I am is no matter what I am doing on today, whether that's 10 things checked off my to-do list or one thing or a day spent resting, I am still worthy. I am still worthy. It is also important in order for me to get to a place of my self-worth is to be intentional about having gratitude to myself, for me to appreciate my efforts, for me to appreciate each time I have tried to do the right thing by myself and for others, for me to appreciate my growth, for me to appreciate my progress, and to see myself in all of the complicated layers of my evolution, and to thank myself because I'm showing up. You know, you're showing up by listening to this podcast. You're showing up, some of you, by reading certain books. Some of you are showing up for life with your meditation and prayer. Some of you are showing up by being a truth teller. Some of you are showing up by working to make things right and just, showing up for your loved ones, showing up for yourself. And so my sense of self-worth can be enhanced when I just start to pause regularly and appreciate myself for what I have done, appreciate myself for who I am, appreciate myself for my values and the ways that I try to live out those values. We also build our self-worth by being honest about the things that have hindered our self-worth and by working actively to heal those things that made us feel worthless. So for some people, it will be a season of unemployment or being underemployed made you feel like you weren't worthy. Some people not being able to finish their education. Some people struggling financially. For some of you, it's as a result of being in unhealthy relationships that your sense of self-worth got reduced. And then some of you who are listening are survivors of abuse, of neglect, of abandonment, of being overlooked or underestimated. So when we are treated with disrespect and disregard, when we face these life difficulties, it can shake our belief that we are worthy of good things because we have not experienced them. Some people may feel diminished because of an identity you share that other people look down upon. And so as a result of discrimination and stigma and stereotype, that can give you some insecurity and make you question if you are deserving of these good things, if you're deserving of a good life, if you're deserving of peace and of rest. And the reality is that you are. You know, we release the idea that other people's ignorance about you and about your identity somehow means that you are less worthy. Instead, we affirm that not in spite of my identity, that in the fullness of my identity, I am worthy. I am worthy. So it is also important in order to build a sense of self-worth is that we engage in self-care. As I care for myself, as I treat myself as though I am deserving, I can begin to experience myself at home in environments that reflect my worth and my worthiness. And so, what can you do for yourself today? In addition to listening to the podcast, what is something you can do for yourself today that you that's within your budget, that is accessible to you, but that can honor you, that can be an act of caring for any aspect of yourself? So how might I care for myself physically, emotionally, socially, financially, spiritually? That I want to nourish myself because I have this life. This is the life. This is the person I am. This is my time on the planet in this way. And so I want to honor that and recognize I am worthy of creating with my life experiences that are fulfilling to me and experiences that reflect the truth that I am deserving, that I am worthy. And then to also build our sense of self-worth, we want to think about resilience so that when difficulties come, I can know I have the capacity to bounce back and that the difficulties don't define me. So hard times are going to come, but the hard time doesn't mean I am worthless, right? That if I fail an exam or I don't get selected for something or don't get chosen by someone, none of those things erase my worth, right? I am worthy of things, positive things, even if I have yet to experience them. That I am deserving of honor, respect, care, love, peace. And the lack of any of those things in my life is not an indicator that I, as a living being, am not deserving of those things. It just means it has not happened yet. And I can reflect on what are the things within me and what are the things around me that have created difficulty in those particular areas. Now, if you're trying to build self-worth and you have been trying and have not been able to see progress in that area, it's hard for you to see the good within yourself. It's hard for you to appreciate yourself. Then I would encourage you to consider getting professional support from a mental health therapist, psychologist, social worker, pastoral counselor, someone who can help facilitate this journey and this process with you, to know that you don't have to do it alone. And you can begin to set attainable goals for yourself. In other words, recognizing building my self-worth is a process that takes time. So I'm not going to be upset with myself if a minute ago I was filled with insecurity and now a few minutes later I'm not just thriving in self-confidence, right? That the change and the growth happens over time, and to know that I am deserving of the time and energy invested in building my sense of myself, that I will no longer eliminate myself from the pathway of good things, but instead for me to know I am deserving of those things, just as other people are worthy as well. So when we talk about self-worth, we're not talking about arrogance, right? So my self-worth does not require me to put anybody else down, right? That I can see our shared humanity, our shared sacredness, that I am worthy and so are you. That I am worthy and so are you. I invite your soul to tell your heart, mind, body, and spirit, welcome home.